Angel Reese is angry, and this time it is because of her own team. The Chicago Sky just made a huge decision, and it has nothing to do with her. They announced that only 2 of their games will be moved to the United Center, the biggest basketball arena in the country. But here is the part that stings for Reese. Both of those games are against the Indiana Fever. Both of those games feature Caitlin Clark. Not a single one of Reese's games is being moved.
Have been moved to the United Center, except for one, Indiana Fever.
Reese could not hide her frustration. She stood in front of reporters and asked why her own team was not giving her the same treatment. She wanted to know why only Caitlin Clark's games were important enough to be played in a bigger arena. But the answer is clear, and it is not what Reese wants to hear. The fans are showing up for Clark, not her. That is the truth, and it is a tough one to accept. Caitlin Clark has changed everything in the WNBA. Wherever she plays, the crowds are massive. Her games sell out and ticket prices skyrocket. Teams across the league are making moves just to fit all the fans who want to see her in person. The Chicago Sky saw the numbers and made a smart business decision. They knew that when Clark comes to town, the demand is too big for their regular arena. They needed a bigger stage. But where does that leave Angel Reese? She has spent months telling everyone that she is just as big of a star as Clark. She has said over and over that fans are watching the WNBA because of her, too. If that were true, the Sky would have moved at least one of her games. They did not. That says everything. The Chicago Sky will play their home games at Wintrust Arena, just like they always do. That includes every single game that Angel Reese plays. But when the Indiana Fever come to town, everything changes. The Sky will leave their regular arena and play at the United Center, which holds more than twice as many fans. This is not a random decision. This is the team sending a clear message about who the real attraction is.
Speaking of United Center, it'll also play host to a pair of WNBA games for the first time this season. The Sky announcing their matchups, hosting the Indiana Fever, will be moved from Wintrust to the UC.
Angel Reese played an entire season in Chicago, and not once did the team feel the need to move games for her. There was no talk of upgrading arenas when she was on the court. But now that Caitlin Clark is coming, the Sky are making big changes. They are expecting huge crowds. They know fans will pay top dollar to see Clark play. They know this is their chance to cash in. The Sky's president, Adam Fox, tried to make it sound like this move was about rewarding Chicago fans. He said it was a way to give more people the chance to experience WNBA basketball. That sounds nice, but it is not the full truth. If this was really about the fans, then why are only 2 games being moved? Why is it only happening when Caitlin Clark is in town? This is about business. The WNBA is still growing, and teams need to make money wherever they can. Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in the league. She sells more tickets than anyone else. Teams know that when Clark plays, they can fill the biggest arenas and make the most money. That is exactly why the Sky are doing this. They are not making this move because of Angel Reese. They are making it because of Caitlin Clark. For Angel Reese, this is a wake-up call. She has been trying to convince everyone that she is just as important to the league as Clark, but actions speak louder than words. The Chicago Sky had a chance to prove that Reese was a star by moving one of her games. Instead, they made it clear who the real superstar is. It is not Reese, it is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has changed the WNBA in ways no other player has. Before she arrived, games were played in smaller arenas and tickets were easy to find. Now everything is different. Wherever Clark goes, the crowds are bigger, the tickets sell out faster, and the entire league is making more money. Teams across the WNBA have been forced to upgrade to bigger venues just to handle the demand.
It's just the nature of the business at this point. One fan saying, "Let's go Fever," taking over the United Center. I can't wait. The Angel Reese effect? No.
The numbers do not lie. Last season, Clark and the Indiana Fever drew over 340,000 fans, setting a new franchise record. Her games averaged nearly 17,000 fans, the highest in the league. The Fever even played in front of 20,000 fans multiple times. Clark is not just a star, she is the biggest name the WNBA has ever seen. Angel Reese, on the other hand, does not have that same impact. Despite all her confidence, her games did not create the same excitement. The Chicago Sky never needed to move any of her games to a bigger arena. Even when she was having a strong season, the team stayed at Wintrust Arena, which holds just over 10,000 fans. The difference is clear. Clark's games sell out, break records, and force teams to make changes. Reese's games do not. Angel Reese has spent months telling everyone that people watch the WNBA for her just as much as they do for Clark. She has tried to position herself as an equal to Clark when it comes to popularity and impact. But now, even her own team is proving that is not true. When it came time to decide which games deserved to be played at the United Center, only Clark's name mattered. Reese was left behind, and she is struggling to accept it. The Chicago Sky's decision to move 2 games to the United Center was not a mistake. It was a business move. The Sky had an entire season to test the demand for Angel Reese's games. They saw the attendance numbers. They knew how many tickets were sold. If Reese had the kind of popularity she claims, the team would have moved at least one of her games, but they did not.
Move 2 of their home games to a larger facility, a larger basketball facility. I'm sure, no doubt, this is the Angel Reese effect.
Instead, the only games being moved are the ones featuring Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The Sky know that when Clark plays, the demand is too big for Wintrust Arena. They know the fans will pay top dollar to see her in action. The United Center holds 21,000 fans, more than twice the capacity of Wintrust Arena. The Sky are making this change because they know they will fill every seat. For Angel Reese, this is an uncomfortable truth. If she was really on Clark's level, at least one of her games would have been upgraded. Her fans could argue that she is a major draw, but the facts do not back that up. If she could sell out bigger venues, her team would have made the same move for her. Social media has been quick to point this out. Fans immediately noticed that no other Chicago Sky games were being moved. People asked the obvious question: if Angel Reese is as popular as she claims, why is she not getting the same treatment? The answer is simple: the demand is not there. Caitlin Clark is the reason teams across the WNBA are making venue changes. The Washington Mystics, Las Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, Dallas Wings, and Connecticut Sun have all moved Clark's games to bigger arenas. This is not just happening in Chicago, it is happening everywhere. The league is following the money, and that money is tied directly to Clark's name.
In the WNBA, Caitlin Clark coming back to the city that she owns, coming back to Chicago after Chicago gave her such a warm welcome last year. They threw Barbie night for Caitlin Clark's.
The Chicago Sky have spoken loud and clear. Their actions prove that Angel Reese is not the superstar she wants to be. She can continue to hype herself up, but when it comes to putting fans in seats, the numbers tell the real story. The WNBA is being carried by Caitlin Clark, and everyone, except Reese, seems to understand that. The Chicago Sky is not the only team making moves to capitalize on Caitlin Clark's star power. Across the league, teams are shifting their biggest games to larger venues. The Washington Mystics, Las Vegas Aces, Atlanta Dream, Dallas Wings, and Connecticut Sun have all upgraded their matchups against the Indiana Fever to arenas that can hold thousands more fans. The reason is obvious. Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball, and teams are doing everything they can to maximize ticket sales. This is not about favoritism, it is about business. When Clark plays, the demand for tickets explodes. Prices on resale markets skyrocket, merchandise sales go through the roof, concession stands and parking lots are packed. Every part of the game experience becomes more valuable when Clark is involved. Teams are not making emotional decisions, they are following the numbers, and those numbers point to one clear fact: Caitlin Clark is bringing in more revenue than any other player in the league.
It's normal at this point in time. We see it happen quite often whenever that fever show comes to town. But in this case, it is interesting considering the opponent.
Angel Reese might not like it, but this is the reality of the WNBA right now. The league is growing at a record pace, and Clark is the main reason why. She is not just filling arenas, she is setting attendance records in nearly every city she plays in. The Indiana Fever sold out their entire season before it even started, something that had never happened before. Even on the road, Clark's presence is turning struggling franchises into must-watch events. If Angel Reese truly had the same impact, teams would be making similar moves for her, but they are not. Her games stay in the same small arenas with no special upgrades. The excitement that surrounds Clark just does not exist for Reese. No matter how many interviews she does or how loudly she promotes herself, her name is not driving ticket sales the way Clark's is. At some point, the conversation needs to shift from feelings to facts. The WNBA is a business, and right now Caitlin Clark is the best investment in the league. Teams know this, owners know this, even players know this, even if some refuse to admit it. The moment the Chicago Sky announced their plans to move only Caitlin Clark's games to the United Center, social media erupted. Fans were quick to point out the obvious. If Angel Reese was really as popular as she claimed, why did her team ignore her when making this decision? The internet wasted no time dragging her for trying to act like she was on Clark's level when the numbers clearly showed otherwise.
They can't say this because of Angel Reese, because for the simple fact, a lot of their games would have moved to bigger arenas if that was the case. They can't not say this.
Reese had spent months pushing the idea that people watch the WNBA for her just as much as they do for Clark. She went on podcasts, made TikTok videos, and hyped up her own star power. But when it came time for the league to make business decisions, her name was nowhere to be found. That was a brutal reality check, and social media let her know it. Some fans brought up the fact that when Clark and Reese played in the same game last season, ticket demand went through the roof. Resale prices soared to thousands of dollars, and fans were desperate to be in the building. But when Reese played in games without Clark, the prices barely moved. That exposed the truth. The hype followed Clark, not Reese. The reactions online were ruthless, but they were not wrong. The numbers do not lie. Clark's games are the most valuable events in the WNBA. Teams are adjusting their entire schedules just to make sure they get the most out of her presence. Meanwhile, Reese is left on the sidelines, watching her own team cash in on someone else. For all the talking Reese has done about being just as big as Clark, this situation has completely destroyed that argument. The Chicago Sky made a choice, the WNBA made a choice, the fans made a choice, and it is clear who the real star of the league is.